You've heard the songs. You've seen the concerts. But rock history also happened in the moments between them. Here are 20 photos and the stories hiding behind them. There's something strange about seeing Hendrix doing something this ordinary. He's walking through Monterey, looking at flowers. Then came the festival. His Sunday night set ended with Wild Thing, Hendrix on his knees and a Stratocaster burning in front of him. For a lot of American listeners, Monterey was their introduction to Jimi Hendrix. This came out of Roy Harper's Valentine's Day concert at London's Rainbow Theatre. Jimmy Page was there. Robert Plant showed up. Ronnie Lane played bass. Keith Moon sat behind the drums. John Bonham? He picked up an acoustic guitar. The whole thing was basically an all-star jam assembled for one night. And thankfully, somebody had a camera. Not every photograph needs a huge story. Sometimes Johnny Cash is just holding a kitten and looking ridiculously happy about it. He was still recording, though. His 1983 album, Johnny 99, included the Bruce Springsteen title song, recorded that April in North Hollywood. Philadelphia, Lollapalooza. Rage Against the Machine walk onto the stage naked, black tape over their mouths, PMRC painted across their chests. And instead of playing a set, they stand there for about 15 minutes while guitar feedback pours through the speakers. It was a protest against censorship, and judging by the reaction of the crowd, not everyone appreciated the concept. ELO's biggest American single contains something you might expect an Electric Light Orchestra song to have. It doesn't have an orchestra. Don't Bring Me Down was recorded without a string section at all. The first released ELO track to do that, and it climbed to number 4 in the United States. Stevie Ray Vaughan was still working Austin clubs at this point, moving through different lineups and playing constantly. The breakthrough took years. In 1982, he finally reached the Montreux Jazz Festival, where David Bowie and Jackson Browne both took notice. Bowie soon invited him on to Let's Dance. Vincent Price and Alice Cooper already had history by the time this picture was taken. 3 years earlier, Price had supplied the wonderfully creepy spoken monologue on The Black Widow from Welcome to My Nightmare. Honestly, there may not have been another actor alive better suited to an Alice Cooper record. Creedence were moving at an absurd pace in 1969. Bayou Country, Green River, and Willie and the Poor Boys all came out within the same year. And when Woodstock was still trying to convince major artists to sign on, CCR became its first official booking. Drummer Doug Clifford later remembered that once Creedence agreed, other big acts started following. Pink Floyd went to a chateau north of Paris to make a film soundtrack, and finished almost an entire album in about 2 weeks. That album was Obscured by Clouds, written and recorded for Barbet Schroeder's La Vallée. The sessions happened at Strawberry Studios in Hérouville, right in the middle of one of the busiest periods of the band's career. In August 1989, Ozzy and Sebastian Bach's Skid Row were part of one of the strangest hard rock bills imaginable. 2 days inside Moscow's Lenin Stadium with Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Scorpions, Cinderella, and Gorky Park. Skid Row's first album had only been out since January. Now they were playing in the Soviet Union in front of a massive stadium crowd with Ozzy on the same bill. For their second album, the Chili Peppers somehow convinced George Clinton to produce them. They went to Detroit. Hillel Slovak was back on guitar, and Clinton pushed the whole thing deeper into funk. The result was freaky styly. messy, weird, and a long way from the polished band that would eventually fill stadiums. The Stones were making Undercover, and the partnership between Mick Jagger and Keith Richards was starting to get ugly. Jagger was pulling the band toward newer sounds and production ideas. Richards wanted a stronger hand in the music again. Even Keith later described the atmosphere around the sessions as hostile, with the two barely communicating unless they were arguing. Talking Heads began as Byrne, Tina Weymouth, and Chris Frantz. Jerry Harrison joined before the first album came out, completing the four-piece lineup people remember today. Talking Heads 77 included Psycho Killer, a song so tightly associated with the band now that it's easy to forget it came right at the beginning. Thin Lizzy didn't even want Whiskey in the Jar to be the big single. They'd recorded the old Irish song reluctantly and expected Phil Lynnett's Black Boys on the Corner to take the A-side. Decca chose Whiskey instead. It reached number 6 in Britain. Bread were running themselves hard by 1972. Another album, more touring, another batch of singles. Guitar Man came out late that year. Before 1973 was over, the band had stopped. David Gates later said the annual cycle of recording and touring had left them without enough time to recharge, and he didn't want to force another weak album out of the group. Tom Petty was halfway through making his third Heartbreakers album when his record deal turned into a legal war. MCA had acquired the label he was signed to. Petty refused to accept that his contract could simply be sold along with it. He financed the sessions while the dispute dragged on and filed for bankruptcy, giving him leverage to renegotiate. The record was Damn the Torpedoes. Steely Dan spent their first few albums touring like a regular rock band. Fagen and Becker got tired of it. After Pretzel Logic, they stopped touring and concentrated on studio work. The other members moved on, while Fagen and Becker increasingly built records around carefully chosen session musicians. That's the road that led to Katy Lied, The Royal Scam, and Asia. Anyone who came to Monster expecting another Automatic for the People got a very different REM. The guitars were louder, dirtier, and covered in distortion. Glam rock and punk pushed their way into the record. After years without a full-scale tour, the band took these songs out on the road in 1995 for its first world tour in years. Their first album had barely stopped ringing in people's ears when Van Halen 2 arrived. They didn't reinvent anything. They simply did another batch of Van Halen songs extremely well. Dance the Night Away became their first top 20 single in America, reaching number 15. When Chuck Berry entered the first class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986, Keith Richards gave the induction speech. Richards didn't hide where he'd learned from. His line was simple: "I lifted every lick he ever had played." Coming from Keith Richards, that's a pretty good description of how far Chuck Berry's guitar traveled. Which photo had the story you didn't know? Leave me one rock moment to hunt down for the next episode.